On our last trip, we ran into a small problem with the roller blinds, roller shades, whatever name you like. It comes down, it stays down. There's nothing left to it. Is all the way. You can feel at the top, there's just nothing left. You can work with it just a bit, get it to come back up, but then it's just absolutely no tension on it. So I've contacted Grand Design to find out the name of the manufacturer of the blinds, and we're in a 2021 Imagine 2600 RB. The blackout shades, these are really, I like them. They're nice. I like them a lot better than some of the other options that are out there for shades. And admittedly, the light is just boom, it's knocked out. So that's been a good thing. This though was something that I just didn't know exactly where to go with it. I did like we all do. I Googled it. I went to YouTube on it. I found all kinds of different shades, but I couldn't find a shade that was this shade. And, well, I say that I actually did find one, but then I couldn't. The directions that they had, they just weren't usable. So contacted Grand Design, and they gave me the name of the company that provided the shades, and they buy their shades from Irvine. That's Irvine Shade and Door, which is also in Elkhart, Indiana, where of course these are made. So after talking to them, then I went to their site, and they do have some videos on their site that are very helpful as far as understanding the shade. Now, I'm not sure when I get through with this if it's something I can fix or can't fix. Matter of fact, they even said that they may have to send me another spring. So we'll see how that works out once we get into it. When I came out and started to what I thought was going to be take the roller shade down, getting to that point is not the simplest task if you don't know what you're doing, and that's me. So when you get up in there and look, there are some little, looks like clips that you would think that holds something in place. I'm sure it must at some point, but not from this point, I don't think. Then when you start looking for how do you take the valance off, there are screws up here, there's screws down here, and it just didn't seem like it was working right. Ultimately, what I found, there's a small bracket right here that has an attachment to the wall and an attachment to the valance, and then you have to go up behind the roller shade all the way to the top, and then there is it's just like these, and I'll show you this in a second. Maybe this will make it a little better. Okay, so we have this bracket, and so what I'll do is I'll take this screw loose, then on the other side we have the same thing here, so we'll take that loose, and then on the top you have to come in behind the blind and bear with me as I take you on this ride. Yeah, if that'll half stay up without tearing anything up. Then under here, getting up under here to try to show this is not the easiest task. So hang on for the ride. All right, there. You can see you're down the side of the valance, come to the inside, up, and right there. And then you have the same thing on the other side. So we'll take this down. Try not to destroy it in trying to fix it. Then, Phillips head screwdriver, just a small one for the parts we're working with here. And there are two different size screws. The one in the wall is a little bit larger than the one that goes into the valance. So and then we'll do the same over here. And I'm going to use a little larger screwdriver to get up in here. And obviously there's just no way to show you how to do this, so rather than have you just see the black mat move back and forth, I'll tune it back in a moment. I've taken out the 4 screws, and you're having to work in a very, very tight place, a little upside down, and try to hold a flashlight at the same time. So already I'm half dreading to put it back together. So, little luck. Hold my breath. I wasn't expecting the blind to come down with it. That surprised me. So let's see what we've got. If it were all rolled up, I would think it would be a little simpler, but maybe now I can understand how to get it loose. I'm totally believing that there's these clips here and here. Sorry, couldn't see that you couldn't see. Here. They're going to be the key to this coming off. So I'm going to have to move things around a bit to be able to get where I can see. Here's what we look like from the back side. Now, from what I think I understand, the clear knob is supposed to control the stop as to how far it comes up. Then the black knob is supposed to control the speed of that. Now also, from what I've seen, the black knob also controls the tension on the spring, which makes sense to where that would control the speed also. So that's where I've tried, without removing everything, to turn this knob. Failed miserably because there's only so much I could do with that. And if I followed the instructions correct from their website, the knob will need to go that direction. It's extremely firm though when I push against that, so I'm gonna have to take this down and get down to the blind and get this thing rolled up where I can control some of these pieces. So we'll see how that works. Hopefully this won't be just filming a disaster here. The brackets appear to be pretty solid right there. but when I press from the other side, I can feel this come up. I know you can't see it from that far away, but then I can at that release. So I'll go to the other side. And do the same. Okay. Whether it's good or bad, I've got it loose now. It's amazing how rolly these things can be. All right. Of course, I still have the problem with trying to figure out how to get this dude to roll up on here. I can feel that I'm putting tension on it now, but I'm gonna have to do something to get this shade rolled up. So earlier, well, felt good for a minute. I'm having to turn the clear knob at the same time that I manually roll up the blind, and that is something I was able to do even when it was hanging, but it was still just absolutely no tension on it. That so I'm hoping that when I get this up that I can apply enough tension to the spring in there now. And from this angle I should be turning clockwise. Try to get to where I can let you see and not have my head chopped off in the deal. So I'm just going to turn it a while. I have no idea what would have got it loose to begin with. I think there's a little tension starting to show up there. And I just don't know how many times I need to turn, so I'm just going to go for a while. Then let's see if we've done anything. Well, this long shade is a problem with being able to maybe if I lay it down I can hold it a little better. I don't want to go bend the frame. Now, there's nothing pulling back yet. So I'm going to roll that back up. And tighten it some more. Figure at absolute worst, I'll just have to replace something that doesn't work. So I'm going to try to just put it back in the frame and see if that'll give me any, because I really am concerned that I just need another set of hands, I'm afraid. Nothing went rolling back. So I don't think we're there yet. It's just like the curtain doesn't catch whatever it has to catch to engage. I've gotten my parts in from the Irvine Shade and Door Company, and that was pretty simple. The thing you have to know, you have to measure your shade from end to end. As you know, they're different in the Imagines. So from end to end, and then in the Imagine, what you're dealing with is a 1-inch diameter tube. So that's called a value shade on their site. And on their site, they do have tutorials, videos that show you how to change a spring and the stop. Now, I've attempted to adjust the stop on more than one shade. I have really not been successful with accomplishing anything here yet. So, we're going to see how it works with changing out the spring. To do this, tools that appears from watching videos, one screwdriver to bump the end off, and then the other to take the screw off, and then the little hammer just to bump the screwdriver. So, I've got to admit, I certainly have some concern with popping a spring loose. It just seems like it could just be a problem, right? So, let's see if I can get this where you can see. All right, there's one screw. You can't see because it's black on black right there. So, I'm going to take this, and this is on the side with a black dial. The black dial is where you are supposed to be able to adjust the spring tension. The other end is a clear dial, which is supposed to be able to adjust where you can stop the shade at a certain point so it doesn't just roll all the way up in here, which mine mostly do. So I'm going to work on that once I get through worrying about this part. So we'll take the screw off here. Gotta admit, I don't know that that's really going to require anything to bump it off. I can feel the spring tension on me right now, which kind of figured it would have to be. That spring came right on out. And I can't help but believe that somehow the original spring is just not adjusted correctly. I don't understand why it really needs a new spring in it. So you can see it's working its way off here. Okay. So, first thing, just looking at it, it's like, okay, I was expecting something different here. Now, I did order another one, actually for a bedroom blind. That may end up being what I really need, just looking at this. So I don't quite understand what that is, because this is certainly a much larger blind than what's in the bedroom, but the replacement spring is the same size as what this one is that I just took out. Just looking at the two springs, this being the new one, I just truly can't see anything that appears different to me from one to the other. So what I'm going to try to do is just to reload the old spring, if I don't get these confused, old spring, and see if that does anything for me. Well, everything seemed to slide together pretty well. And slip right in there. So, to be able to test this, what I'll do is I will take it and hook it back to the window frame, the valance, so that there's something, because from right here I can't pull on it because I would tear it up. So I'll hook it into the valance and see what happens. As I was going to get the valance to put the shade back in it, it dawned on me that I probably need to set the tension on this while it's easier. If you've dealt with yours, you know that, well, it's up in there. You can get your finger and you can turn on this, but you can't do much with it. So I want to put a little tension on it before I put it back in the valance. So we're working with the black knob that puts tension on, and then we're moving it clockwise. And this is where it can get a little confusing, because you're working from, sometimes you can get turned around with what's inside, what's outside. So where it pulls down, the back side being back here, at that we need to turn clockwise, or geez, I don't know if you'd call it towards the front or the back at that point, but it would be going towards the inside of the trailer. It's quite loose now, and I have no idea how much tension needs to be put on this thing. I'm hoping that somehow it just gotten maybe too much on it. I don't know, because it was quite tight. So I've done it a little bit. After this, I know I'm gonna have to do the like half finger turn on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in the frame now. Well, I've never had to do this before. Maybe next time I'll work on the microphone. But I had taken the old spring, put it in the roller, and it didn't work. So then I put in the new spring, and it didn't work. So then I went and decided, okay, I'll try to use the control on the other end that controls the stop, which honestly I had no idea. I was just shooting in the dark on this. As you can see though, it's very much as the other side. You take a screwdriver, you loosen that one screw at the top, then there's one in the middle of the clear piece that you have to undo it. So I had done that, and then put a little bit of tension on it, and it began to work. So put it in the frame and watch this. Don't I look happy? Pretty good for an amateur, huh? Notice that I did adjust the stop on it so that where it's not rolling all the way up in there. So I was able to adjust with a little bit of turn on that knob to have it where it would stop at the distance it is there. And this is something I haven't gotten any of the other windows to work right yet. So I may go back at some point. I don't know. It's really quite a pain to take this off of the wall. But in this case, the piece I'm holding in my hand, that's what ended up fixing the problem here. So I took it, replaced the other one, and again, just like the spring though, I couldn't find, just looking at it, anything that looked like it was out of place. So that's the best I've got with that story. So right offhand, the chore in this, certainly getting everything down, taking apart, and then the trial and error of the fixing. I did have to order the parts, and the company was very, very good about that. If you have any problems when you're working on yours, certainly don't mind if you want to send a comment, and I'll be happy to get in touch with you and work with you on that. That's really about the end of the thing here. I really can't even remember exactly what I was talking about, but I'm sure it was really good. So if you need any help, contact me. Hope that this will help you out some. Hopefully it'll save you some time, because it took me several days to get to a point where I had a repair here. If this has been helpful to you, please consider subscribing to the channel, because there may be something else that I can figure out how to fix. Maybe like the microphone. Thanks.